All right, today I wanted to talk about a really interesting pencil that I think is probably the best pencil for the price, and that would be the Tsunami Talking Popper. This is a plastic pencil popper that I've used for years. It was actually one of the first pencils I'd ever thrown. Now, these are very unique in the sense that it's probably the furthest into the sinking pencils that I personally venture. So when I fish pencil poppers, I like to fish a lot of floating pencils because you can apply a lot of really precise action to them and you can work them in many different ways. Where with sinking pencils like these, when you cast them out, they will sink in the water. Now there's an XD version of this, which is like this, which you can see like which stands for extra heavy, but the XD version is the one that generally comes with a flag on the tail. And it will come with a tail hook, but it has a little flag on it. And it's their like pro version, and it's amazing because you can cast it really far, but that one sinks a little bit. Now the normal Tsunami Talking Popper actually floats a little bit up on the surface, but it's not like a floating plug where it will just stay perfectly up on the surface like that. It will sink like this, and it's not like a fully floating pencil. But the Tsunami Talking Poppers are fantastic because they cast like you wouldn't believe. Now these plugs, you can get them way out there, and there are conditions, and that's probably the only real conditions where I'll throw a lot of sinking pencils because they're a lot of the time heavier for their size. You can get them way out there if there is a big wind or a big storm happening where you want to really just work that pencil as frothy as possible and get it to really walk side to side up on the surface. So the objective when you're working a pencil is to get that pencil to go like this up on the surface of the water and create a splash. I normally only throw these though when I'm fishing into blitzing bass. And I've always thought that they did a great job of attracting big bass out of a school. Because once you got the walking action down, even with, and there's many different sizes, I even have the biggest size up here as well. Here's a giant version, so I believe it goes 8, 7, and I think this is a 5-inch one. Don't quote me on that, but that's basically the size ranges of this. And I really like the Tsunami Talking Poppers because they are really good casting plug, and I can't reiterate that enough because when you're in a situation where you have to get a plug way out in the wind, because a lot of the time when you have blitzing bass, they're getting pushed into an area because there's wind blowing on shore, which is going to blow the weaker bait fish closer to shore, and the bass are going to come in closer to shore. So that's when you need something to give you a little extra distance to get out there. And they have a really nice walking action. So you can get these to walk practically in place. So they'll walk back and forth practically in place, and they throw a fair amount of water. And this is fantastic when the bass are blitzing. A lot of the time what I'll do in a blitz scenario, especially with a pencil that's a really good casting pencil like this, is I will wait and hold my cast until I see a pod or one bass jump out of the water that seems a little bit bigger than the other ones, and then I'll fire a cast right into where those fish are feeding, and that generally gets the hit that I need. All right. The other thing I wanted to talk about here today, my friends over at Fisherman's Source sent me this. And this is the Tidal Pro from Tsunami. So it's another Tsunami plug. This, though, is a glide bait, and they just came out with it. So I want to talk about this for a little bit because glide baits are a very, very powerful tool when you get to fish them. And I don't think a whole lot of people fish really good quality glide baits out there because a lot of the time, glide baits that are really nice custom glide baits are really expensive. And there's a few ones that a lot of people talk about, like the Sebile stick shads. The Sebile stick shad is probably another, what I would say, fairly reasonable priced swim bait that was made really popular in the Cape Cod Canal. Now this is a lighter swim bait, and I'm really excited for this because I like the size and profile of it. I haven't gotten to fish this yet. I just want to talk about it a little bit because I am excited about it. It's something that I fish a lot, a style of plug that I fish a lot, and this is fantastic when you have things like peanut bunker around. So if you're going to be fishing blitz fish, especially at night, sometimes what will happen is you'll have a blitz and they'll be going really, really hard. And then right at like dark, they'll like stop for a little while. And sometimes when that happens, you have a lot of injured menhaden swimming around, little baby menhaden swimming around the wash, kind of disoriented from that big furious feed that just took place. This is when the glide bait kind of excels, in my opinion. So what I'll do is I'll throw this into the wash. And the best part about glide baits is they tend to sit pretty true even if there are big stormy conditions. And so what I'll do is I'll throw this right into the wash and I'll reel it nice and slow through the wash, and sometimes I'll sweep the tip of my rod a little bit and then stop it so you have this like longer walking action in the water and the bass just can't resist it. Another scenario where I throw this a lot is as more of a searching lure, because generally they cast pretty well, so you can kind of cover a lot of water, and it being the exact profile of a fish, it can match a whole plethora of different baits. And so what I'll do a lot of the time is I'll stage up in a rock area and I'll use this to kind of cast around within an area and see where maybe there are some fish staging up. And a lot of the time, even during the day, and I fish this a lot at night, but during the day, when you throw swim baits like this and you're bringing them back, sometimes those bass are being really picky and they won't like exactly hit it, but you'll feel them almost like bump the plug. And that's something that's very unique when it comes to swim baits, is they're so realistic and they're so attractant that even if the bass aren't fully feeding, you'll sometimes bring them in and there'll be like 3 or 4 bass following it. So that's something that's very interesting about swim baits. They're a great searching plug. They definitely will cull a lot of bass from the area. So that's why I'm really excited about these lures. I'm gonna have them all linked below, including the Tsunami Talking Poppers. And if you're interested in picking any of them up, go to Fisherman's Source. You can get them shipped out to you really quick. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.